and invaded Singapore on February the 15th, 1942. While the occupation lasted for 3 years and a half. Singapore has designated every February 15th as its Total Defense Day. It's a day when the nation commemorates its sacrifices during the war.
On the red carpet now is Maria Fernanda Ley, President of the National Parliament of the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste. China and Timor-Leste enjoy traditionally friendly relations. Timor-Leste announced its independence on May 20th, 2002. China established diplomatic relations with Timor-Leste on that same day. And in 2023, the two countries elevated bilateral ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership. They reached consensus on the overall direction to build a China-Timor-Leste community with a shared future in July last year. And this February, the first direct flight was launched between the two nations.
Now comes Jorge Rodriguez, President of the National Assembly of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. China and Venezuela are good partners that seek mutual trust and common development. The two nations enjoy an ironclad friendship. China and Venezuela elevated their ties to an all-weather strategic partnership in 2023. Both sides maintain frequent exchanges at all levels and have witnessed a growing trade volume. Next is the acting president of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, Min Aung Hlaing. China and Myanmar enjoy long-standing friendship. The two countries established diplomatic ties on June 8, 1950, and this year marks the 75th anniversary. The two countries have steadily advanced their friendly relations, and they are actively building the China-Myanmar community with a shared future. During World War II, Chinese expeditionary forces fought Japanese aggressors in Myanmar, then known as Burma. They safeguarded the passage to southwestern China and supported the people of Myanmar in their fight for independence.
And next is Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Korea, AQ1G, and his wife. China and South Korea are neighbors and cooperative partners. The two countries established diplomatic ties in 1992 and elevated relations to a strategic cooperative partnership in 2008. China is the largest trading partner of South Korea. South Korea is the second largest trading partner of China. The two countries have 228 pairs of sister provinces and cities. The Chinese people fought side by side with the Koreans to resist Japanese aggression and colonialism. The old site of the Provisional Government of the Republic of Korea has been preserved in China.
Next is President of the Republic of Maldives, Mohamed Muizzu. The president made his first state visit to China in January 2024 and was the first foreign leader to visit China that year. The two heads of state upgraded their relations to a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership. Trade cooperation between the Maldives and China began in 1981. Since then, they have maintained good momentum, with tourism a significant part. Chinese tourists comprise the biggest share of Maldives' international tourism. They have expanded exchanges and cooperation in key sectors such as education, culture, and health. Now, Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan. Also accompanying him is his wife. China and Armenia have maintained healthy and stable momentum in bilateral ties since establishing diplomatic relations in 1992. Their ties were upgraded to a strategic partnership on August 31st, when Chinese President Xi met with Prime Minister Pashinyan in Tianjin. In 2024, bilateral trade rose 15% to $1.8 billion. In January 2020, their mutual free visa policy took effect. The two nations enhanced their connectivity by launching their first direct civilian flights in September 2024.
Walking on the red carpet right now is the Prime Minister of the Slovak Republic, Robert Fico. In 2024, he paid a visit to China as the two sides celebrated the 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties. And during that visit, China and Slovakia elevated their relations to a strategic partnership. China and Slovakia have maintained a positive momentum in the development of their relations and steadily expanded their cooperation in various fields. Slovakia was a guest of honor in the fourth China Central and Eastern European Countries Expo in Zhejiang province this May. And as the Second World War dragged on, the Slovaks launched a resistance movement against Nazi Germany. With unremitting courage and determination, the Slovakian people contributed to victory in the world anti-fascist war.
If you're just joining us here on CGTN, you're looking at live pictures of the Tiananmen Gate near Tiananmen Rostrum, where international dignitaries have been arriving. We've been tracking the arrival of heads of state and government for you right here on CGTN. And the motorgates keep pulling up. International dignitaries are arriving at the red carpet rolled out in their honor.
And some of the guests attending today's commemoration previously attended the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin, which just concluded in the northern port city. And in that summit, the leaders jointly issued the Tianjin Declaration.
Now comes the president of Mongolia, Ukhna Hurosa, and his wife. China's land border with Mongolia is the longest at 4,710 kilometers. The two countries have been deepening mutually beneficial cooperation over the past 70 years since they established bilateral ties. They have achieved a rapid development and significant outcomes in relations in more than 2 decades. China has been Mongolia's largest trading partner and investor. Bilateral trade reached over $18 billion in 2024, 10% higher than the previous year.
And this is the president of Turkmenistan, Serdar Berdimuhamedov. In 2023, China and Turkmenistan established a comprehensive strategic partnership and announced that they will build a community with a shared future at a bilateral level. Trade volume has reached nearly $5 billion in the first half of this year. China and Turkmenistan have jointly built 3 gas pipelines connecting China and Central Asia. Cultural exchanges between these two countries are frequent. The Chinese language is taught in elementary and middle schools in Turkmenistan.
On the red carpet now, our first Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba and President of the Republic of Cuba, Miguel Diaz-Canel, and his wife. Cuba was the first country in Latin America to establish diplomatic ties with the People's Republic of China. This year marks their 65th anniversary. In the past 65 years, China and Cuba have always trusted and supported each other, setting an example for unity and cooperation between socialist countries and mutual assistance with sincerity among developing countries. In World War II, Cuba provided military support and supplies to the Allied forces.
Now on the red carpet is President of the Kyrgyz Republic, Sadir Japarov. China and Kyrgyzstan are connected by mountains and rivers, and the two peoples are connected heart to heart. Their relations have seen great development in recent years. In 2023, the two countries established a new era all-round strategic partnership and announced the building of a China-Kyrgyzstan community with a shared future of good neighborliness and shared prosperity. China is Kyrgyzstan's largest trading partner. Bilateral trade in the first half of this year has increased by 53% from a year ago to over $14 billion. You're watching live pictures now from the Tiananmen Gate, where international guests are arriving for a welcome ceremony here. And now we are seeing pictures of the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, and his wife. President Aliyev has visited China several times. China-Azerbaijan ties have been close despite the long distance and have strengthened in recent years. The two countries have had close, high-level communications in recent years. This April, the two heads of state announced a comprehensive strategic partnership between China and Azerbaijan. And on the red carpet now are Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, and his wife. China and Malaysia have long-standing friendships. And of course, this friendship is born out of their long history, cultivated by cultural integration, strengthened in mutually beneficial cooperation, and forged in difficult times. In April, they agreed to build a high-level strategic China-Malaysia community with a shared future. During World War II, overseas Chinese in Malaysia launched a fundraising campaign for China's war of resistance against Japanese aggression. Over 1,000 Nanyang volunteer mechanics and drivers sacrificed their lives while transporting military supplies on the Yunnan-Burma highway to the front lines in China.
Now you're looking at live pictures at the Tiananmen Gate, where international dignitaries are continuing to arrive for a red carpet that's rolled out in their honor. The Tiananmen Gate is just north of the Tiananmen rostrum. On the red carpet now is Tonglun Sisilith, General Secretary of the Lao People's Revolutionary Party Central Committee and the President of the Lao People's Democratic Republic. China and Laos have a long history of friendship. They're good neighbors and comrades. They have deepened exchanges and cooperation in fields such as politics, economy, military, and culture and health. They also coordinate and cooperate closely in regional and international affairs. Bilateral trade cooperation has expanded in recent years. China is Laos's biggest investor, second exporter, and second largest trading partner. The China-Laos Railway has earned the name of the Golden Passage due to record volume of passengers and freight.
We're watching live pictures from the heart of Beijing, from inside the Forbidden City, the Tiananmen Gate, where the red carpet is rolled out for international dignitaries attending the commemoration to mark the 80th anniversary of China's victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression, as well as the World Anti-Fascist War.
Heads of state and government are continuing to arrive at Tiananmen Gate. This is just north of the Tiananmen rostrum. It's a short walk to the Tiananmen rostrum.
China held another commemoration to mark its V-Day 10 years ago in 2015. And it was in that commemoration that heads of state, as well as leaders from international organizations, also attended. And this is certainly a show of solidarity. And we're moments away now from the commemoration. It's going to begin in less than an hour.
And now the next guest has arrived. The President of the Republic of Serbia, Aleksandar Vučić, and his wife. President Vučić has always promoted China-Serbia cooperation and exchanges. The two nations are advancing the high-quality development of a China-Serbia community with a shared future. They are ironclad friends who help each other in hard times. 80 years ago, people from the two nations significantly contributed to the victory of the anti-fascist war in the battlefields of Asia and Europe. China and Serbia have trusted and supported each other for a long time.
On the red carpet now is President of the Republic of Tajikistan, Emomali Rahman. President Rahman is an old friend of China and the Chinese people. He's been to the country more than 20 times. China-Tajikistan relations are at their best with frequent high-level exchanges. Last year, the two countries announced a comprehensive strategic partnership. And from this higher starting point, they will build a China-Tajikistan community with a shared future. Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif. Pakistan was one of the first countries to recognize the People's Republic of China. The two are ironclad friends and all-weather strategic cooperative partners. They are deepening their strategic mutual trust and practical engagement. And China has been Pakistan's largest trading partner since 2014. China is also the largest foreign investor in Pakistan.
Next, the President of the Republic of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko. This is Lukashenko's 16th visit to China. China and Belarus have treated each other with sincerity and trust. As all-weather, comprehensive strategic partners, the two have maintained close, high-level exchanges and achieved milestones in their expanded bilateral cooperation. On May the 9th, the Chinese PLA Guard of Honor attended the military parade in the Belarusian capital of Minsk to commemorate the victory of the former Soviet Union's Great Patriotic War.
President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa. In 2024, President Mnangagwa made a state visit to China and attended the China-Africa Cooperation Forum Summit in Beijing. He did his military training in China in the 1960s and had a deep bond with the Chinese People's Liberation Army. The two countries and the two parties share similar thoughts.
Now, President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, and his daughter, Zahra Pezeshkian. China and Iran have a long-standing friendship. In their 54 years of diplomatic ties, their relations have always been stable and healthy. In 2016, Chinese President Xi Jinping made a state visit to Iran. The two countries established a comprehensive strategic partnership. Next is the President of the Republic of the Congo, Denis Sassou Nguesso. Among African leaders, he is one of those who has made the most visits to China and met with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The two heads of state have a deep friendship. The Republic of the Congo is China's ironclad friend. Bilateral ties were upgraded to a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership in 2016. The two countries marked the 60th anniversary of diplomatic ties last year, when President Sassou was in Beijing for a state visit and the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit. Next, the King of Cambodia, Norodom Sihamoni. China and Cambodia have enjoyed long-standing friendship. The two peoples have interacted for their mutual benefit. This April, they elevated bilateral relations to an all-weather China-Cambodia community with a shared future in the new era. It's the first time China has upgraded ties with a Southeast Asian country to such a level.
And walking on the red carpet are President of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Shavkat Mirziyoyev, and his wife. President Mirziyoyev has been to China many times. Friendly cooperation between the two peoples has been vigorous under the Silk Road spirit. And last year, China and Uzbekistan established an all-weather comprehensive strategic partnership in the new era. And they have announced to advance the building of a China-Uzbekistan community with a shared future. President of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, Luong Quan. China and Vietnam share a long history. They are comrades and brothers. And the founding father of Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, joined and supported the Chinese people's war of resistance against Japanese aggression in places such as Yan'an, Guilin, Chongqing, and Kunming. This year is the 75th anniversary of their diplomatic ties. It's also the year of cultural exchanges between the two sides. And China and Vietnam have deepened their relations in recent years with frequent visits and contact between leaders of the two countries.
And now, Prime Minister of Nepal, KP Sharma Ali, and his wife. Connected by mountains and rivers, China and Nepal have a long history of friendly exchanges. This year is the 70th anniversary of their diplomatic ties. The two countries have seen healthy and stable development in bilateral relations and strengthened political trust. China and Nepal have also expanded cooperation in various fields and under the Belt and Road Initiative. In 2019, their relations were upgraded to a strategic partnership of cooperation featuring everlasting friendship for development and prosperity. And this partnership continues to deepen.
And again, CGTN is bringing you live pictures from the heart of Beijing, the Tiananmen Gate, which is to the north of the Forbidden City.
On the red carpet now, President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. China and Kazakhstan relations have been tested by changes and challenges, but they always remain at a high level. China and Kazakhstan raised bilateral ties to a permanent, comprehensive strategic partnership in 2019. In 2022, they pledged to build a community with a shared future defined by lasting friendship, a high degree of mutual trust, and sharing weal and woe. In June, Chinese President Xi Jinping was in Kazakhstan for the second China-Central Asia Summit. There, the leaders agreed to forge a China-Central Asia spirit of mutual respect, mutual trust, mutual benefit, and mutual assistance for the joint pursuit of modernization through high-quality development. The two countries have achieved milestones in educational, cultural, scientific, and technological cooperation. The two countries have 26 pairs of sister provinces and cities. Beijing and Astana, their capitals, are sister cities. Next is the General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, and President of the State Affairs of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Kim Jong-un. China and the DPRK established diplomatic ties on October 6, 1949. The DPRK was one of the first to establish ties with the People's Republic of China. Linked by mountains and waters, China and the DPRK are friendly neighbors. This year also marks the 80th anniversary of Korea's liberation. The two peoples supported each other in hard times and through war. They jointly fought against Japanese aggression and made significant contributions to the world anti-fascist war and the cause of justice of humanity. The traditional friendship between the two countries was cemented by the old generations of their leaders. Their friendship, also forged in bloody and fiery revolutions, has developed in the process of their socialist construction and is priceless. In recent years, General Secretary Xi Jinping and General Secretary Kim Jong-un have maintained communication through various means. They lead and guide bilateral ties into a new historical phase.
At the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping, dozens of heads of state and government will attend today's commemoration in Beijing. On September 3rd, China marks its V-Day, and this is the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War.
Again, another look at the Tiananmen Gate just north of the Tiananmen rostrum. The red carpet has rolled out to welcome the arrival of international dignitaries. We've been tracking the arrival of heads of state and government for you right here on CGTN. One by one, their motorcades pulled up, and the leaders arrive for the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War.
A commemoration ceremony and a grand military parade are going to take place on Tiananmen Square and along Chang'an Avenue in less than an hour. We have different teams of reporters covering this event for us.
Obviously, the military parade will be the highlight of the day and the highlight of the commemoration. We do understand that new armaments and equipment will be shown in that military parade. They are domestically made, and also they are all active combat gear. And at this moment, the Tiananmen Square is decorated and ready for the commemoration.
Troops and armaments, as we speak, are lining up along Chang'an Avenue. They're ready for the inspection of the Commander-in-Chief. Motorcades carrying heads of state, international dignitaries are arriving here at the Tiananmen Gate. On the red carpet right now is President Prabowo Subianto of the Republic of Indonesia. He arrived early this morning, and China welcomes his arrival. He's here at the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, under the strategic guidance of the two heads of state, China and Indonesia have opened a new chapter of jointly building a community with a shared future. During World War II, Chinese people living in Indonesia donated money and supplies. Many of them returned to China to join the resistance and became heroes. Renowned Chinese writer and anti-fascist intellectual Yu Dafu traveled to Southeast Asia to join the resistance. And he was killed in Sumatra Indonesia. He wrote, "Our generation should sacrifice for the war of resistance." President Prabowo made a state visit to China soon after his presidential inauguration in 2024. China and Indonesia are traditional friends and neighbors. And it was in this year that China and Indonesia embarked on a new chapter of bilateral ties by building a community with a shared future.
International dignitaries are continuing to arrive at Tiananmen Gate, just north of the Tiananmen rostrum in the heart of the Chinese capital. There, a red carpet has been rolled out in honor of the visiting dignitaries. They are heads of state and government who will be participating in the commemoration today of the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. Later on, a military parade will take place on the Chang'an Avenue, an east-to-west major thoroughfare cutting right through the heart of the Chinese capital, Beijing. CGTN will have full coverage of the commemoration today. Make sure you do stay with us right here on CGTN. We've been tracking the arrival of international dignitaries right here on CGTN for you. They're now arriving at the Tiananmen Gate, just north of the Tiananmen rostrum. A red carpet has been rolled out for them.
That's right. And the Tiananmen Gate is where this reception is taking place. Now we're seeing another limousine. President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. Putin has been to China many times since 2013, either for state visits or international conferences. Relations between China and Russia are at their historical best. Their ties are characterized by long-term friendly good neighborliness and mutually beneficial win-win cooperation. In the new era, China-Russia relations are more self-confident, firm, and resilient. From May 7th to 10th, President Xi Jinping made a state visit to Russia and attended commemorations in Moscow of the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Soviet Union's Great Patriotic War. In World War II, China was the main battlefield in Asia, and the Soviet Union was the main battlefield in Europe. They were central to resistance and combat against Japanese militarism and Nazi Germany. They made decisive contributions to the victory in the World Anti-Fascist War. China and Russia are expanding mutually beneficial cooperation in all aspects. Bilateral trade has reached a high of over $244 billion last year. And China and Russia have active cultural exchanges and close cooperation at local levels. They have 168 pairs of sister provinces and cities, and there are also dozens of provincial-level economic partnerships.
Remembering history, honoring the fallen heroes, cherishing peace, and creating a better future. And this is our special program commemorating the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. International dignitaries have now arrived and are meeting the Chinese president and his wife.
As we're watching right now, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Madame Peng Liyuan are welcoming international dignitaries at the south square of Tiananmen Gate.
These are heads of international organizations that are walking down the red carpet to be received by the Chinese president and his wife.
That's right. And a decade ago, on September 3rd, it was also here where Chinese